Hello everyone and welcome back. On Tuesday, December 8th, Bungie will be dropping their big December update. This update will include an injection of new exotic weapons and gear, some changes to the weapon balancing, pretty major tuning for the Titan, not to mention the introduction of the Sparrow Racing League 3-week event, the trailer which you're seeing now. Yes, you will be able to finally competitively race your Sparrows for loot and glory. I will have a full guide on Sparrow Racing League up tomorrow, so stick tuned for that. Now, in regards to the update itself, I think Bungie might still have some tricks up their sleeve. I think they've noticed how much the community loved secret quests, like the one you can discover on certain daily heroic missions, as well as the time-gated ones like the one for the Sleeper Simulant. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some hidden gems for us to discover. In the meantime, let's take a closer look at what changes Bungie is bringing to the Titan. Bungie sandbox designer Sage Merrill shared some insight on their goals when designing the Titan and its subclasses. He mentions his vision as Titan being the primary melee subclass, which is very evident in their high armor stat. Because of this, they've extended the Titan's melee range by 12.5%. There's been plenty of times where I feel like I just barely miss an opponent, so this will probably be a much more noticeable increase than it seems. Also, to make Catapult Lift a much more desirable choice, they're increasing the initial boost velocity by 5%. This might make Catapult more useful when running away from things, but I'm not sure if it'll be enough of a change to sway me away from increased control. But moving on to the subclass specific changes, let's start with the hot topic of the hour, Sunbreakers. Sage calls out that he feels that the subclass itself isn't necessarily the problem, as is a specific build that gives you lots of very accurate hammers with no repercussions to health. The build in question is a combination of Forge Master, Flame Seeker, and Cauterize. Forge Master gives you a lot more hammers to throw, and Flame Seeker makes sure that those are going to hit their targets. Not only that, but when they do hit their targets, it actually starts to heal you with Cauterize. This is what makes the Sunbreaker feel like it has a lot of armor, and it is what makes Hammer of Soul feel like it lasts forever. Because of this, the first change is to the super itself, Hammer of Soul. We've reduced the hammer travel speed by 1.32%. While that's very small, I have a feeling it's something with the math that'll throw off the animation cycles or something, giving you maybe 1 or 2 less hammers per super. The next is Forge Master. Reduce splash damage detonation radius multiplier by 20%. Basically, I take that to be a very fancy way of saying that the bigger explosions part of Forge Master is reduced by 20%. Now moving on to Flame Seeker, which is the talent node that's been hit the hardest, and rightfully so. Now, Flame Seeker is the bane of anyone fighting against a Sunbreaker in the Crucible. The first change is to the actual tracking bonus itself, which has been reduced by 25%. Flame Seeker for some reason also used to give you +1 recovery and +1 agility. None of the other passives in that column give you a stat boost, so it made Flame Seeker even more attractive of a choice. And because of this, they're actually removing the +1 recovery and agility stat bonuses. Also, an interesting side note, since this is the first time we're taking a really in-depth look at subclasses, we can finally see what +1 to a stat actually looks like. Why is this important? Well, you know those weapons that you have that give you +2 agility? Now we have a much better idea of how much that actually adds. Just thought it was a kind of a cool takeaway. Now, in addition to taking Flameseeker down a step, they've given Fleetfire +1 agility stat, which makes a bit more sense. They also added +1 recovery to Firekeeper, which makes sense for Firekeeper as well. And finally, they made an adjustment to Cauterize. Enemies brought down by your fire regenerate your health. While this is extremely useful, I'm sure it was designed as a clutch move. Because of that, they added a bit of a cooldown from 0 seconds to 3 seconds. Now, while some of the adjustments might seem small, I think it's going to be exactly what we need to make Sunbreaker a bit more balanced. I'm also pretty excited because I think it's going to allow me to try out some different builds and see what else my Titan can do. Now moving on to Striker. Now, ever since Sunbreaker came out, we have little reason to switch back to Striker. Sunbreaker is just so much more effective at certain battle tactics. It has a more effective melee and super, and you can argue it has more effective grenades. Now for the Striker, Sage mentioned that they want to reinforce the Striker's hard-charging melee role. The Titan is meant to be out there in the front lines, dealing lots of damage over a short period of time. This is also reinforced by your ability to nearly max out the Striker armor stat. So let's take a look at what's changing for the Striker. First up is the thing I'm most excited about, the increase to base damage for Stormfist. It's being increased by 18.2%. The next change is to Overload, which now also provides faster melee recharge. I was hesitant to use this in the past since it only grants you a chance of a reset, but now with the increased cooldown, it's going to make it a lot more attractive to use in battle. Next is an increase to discharge's additional damage by 7.69%, as well as making the area of effect a spherical shape, which should help with airborne targets. Next is an adjustment to Amplify. Amplify now increases your super energy bonus by 30%, making it a much more effective choice. These changes are going to make Striker much more preferred for melee encounters. Next, we have an adjustment to some of the passive nodes. Now Headstrong also provides a faster sprint in addition to the +1 agility. This makes the perk a bit more useful, but I'm still not sure if it can still stand up to Aftershocks and Transfusion. We'll have to see. Next is an adjustment to the final passive column, starting with Unstoppable. Unstoppable now provides you a total of +2 armor instead of +1, and the damage resistance has also been increased by 25%. As I mentioned before, because of these patch notes, we can now see what +1 actually looks like. Not only that, but we can now see how much +2 will bring, and yes, with Unstoppable, you will have a completely maxed out armor stat. This is going to make Unstoppable a very good choice against Shoulder Charge. Now for Juggernaut, they've improved the shield health by 14.3% and now works when airborne. They have made this last talent node very attractive and very difficult to choose between the perks. Needless to say, I'm very excited for the new Striker changes, and don't be surprised if you see a lot more Strikers now in Crucible. Lastly is the adjustment to Defender Titans. The only change to Defender is that casting Ward of Dawn will immediately recharge grenade and melee abilities. This is their goal to double down on the instant base ready for anything combat support role. As if we needed another reason to use Defender Titans, this is going to make things a lot more strategic in battle. I couldn't be more excited for these changes, as the Titan is my main, and I cannot wait to take him out into the field and just absolutely wreck shop with Striker. Let me know what you think about the changes to the Titan in the comments below. Drop a like if you can, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And until next time, I'll see you guys Starside.